You are now tuned into a brand new episode of the Simply Ball Drop It podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K Sap. Well, did Tommy Rees just clear the air talking about he wanted Shedeur Sanders over Dillon Gabriel? Is this some of the rift that they was talking about in the locker room between coaches? But we're going to talk about it all here right after this. Well, guys, was Tommy Rees delighted when he talked about Shedeur Sanders in the media day availability today? It seems like he had a twinkle in his eyes when he was talking about Shedeur Sanders taking over as quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Now, you guys know that we produced a show probably about a week ago stating that there was some rift between the coaches in the locker room on this whole quarterback situation between Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. A lot of people were saying, and a lot of reports out there were saying that the coaches was at odds because of who was the quarterback and who the other coaches wanted to see. Like the situation between Dillon and Shedeur, a lot of coaches wanted to see Shedeur Sanders get the nod. Now it seems like Tommy Rees, the offensive coordinator, now that's taken over calling the plays for Cleveland, is excited about Shedeur Sanders' opportunity as the starting quarterback. Now, we all know Tommy Rees. Tommy Rees played collegiately at Notre Dame. He was a quarterback himself. And then he went on under the Nick Saban regime at Alabama. And you guys got to understand something. Some quarterbacks that played collegiately might have a full grasp and understanding about quarterbacks, but there's some guys that play quarterbacks that really don't give you a great evaluation, such as Dan Orlowski. That's one guy that we can't take serious. But Tommy Rees seems like he was delighted when he was speaking about Shedeur Sanders getting the opportunity playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Now, Tommy Rees took to the podium today, and he had a lot of things to say, and the whole demeanor was different from Kevin Stefanski when they was addressing Tommy Rees and asking Tommy Rees questions about Shedeur Sanders. There was like a little sparkle and a twinkle in his eye that he was glad that it's Shedeur time in Cleveland. And we're going to listen to what Tommy Rees had to say. And you guys are going to be shocked at some of the things that he said, given his utmost respect to Shedeur Sanders. But before we get off into that, we partnered up with Underdog Fantasy, and this is a word from our sponsor.
Underdog Fantasy is the best way to play fantasy sports. Let me tell you about the easiest way to get in on some WNBA and NBA action. Find your player, pick higher or lower, win you some extra cash. Pick between 2 to 5 players to fill out your pick'em entry, get every pick right, and win some serious cash. Use my promo code SBD23 and receive up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Now that it's football time, follow Simply Ball Dropping as I share my picks. Like I said, pick your player, choose your amount, win money. Make picks, win cash. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for the partnership with us, and thank you for using promo code SBD23 on Underdog Fantasy.
Well, guys, with that being said, man, let's take a listen to what Tommy Rees had to say. Pay close attention.
Yeah, without getting into specifics, obviously, you with any quarterback, with any player, really with any quarterback, you want them to feel as comfortable as possible. For young players like Dillon and Shedeur, that's pulling from a lot of different avenues. That's pulling from things that, they've been comfortable with within your system, things that they like. So that's our number one job, right? You want to make your quarterback comfortable. You want to call plays. You want to put in plays that breathe confidence into them as they hear them, as they call them, plays that they know they can make work. And and then you press the guys around him to raise their level of play and play well to continue to breathe confidence into young players and into young quarterbacks. So that's really been the motivation this week moving forward, and had a good first day of practice, had a good walkthrough this morning, so continue to build off of that.
What's the realistic expectation for what a week of that week of practice reps can do for Shedeur in terms of from what he did last Sunday to this Sunday?
Yeah, certainly don't try to put any sort of expectation on guys, especially young players. I think we're about our process and about what drives that process. Certainly you look at having a full week of prep, a full week of game planning, a full week of him being in the forefront of your mind as a coach, and he knows that as a player. You hope that all those things benefit and come to fruition on Sunday. Expectations, I would say we try to limit those. It's more about, hey, we're going to pour, this whole week into making sure that you feel comfortable and confident. And, our goal and our job is to make sure that he gets that feel and gets ready to go on Sunday.
What did you think of his debut?
Yeah. Look, I think it's a hard position to be thrown into, obviously, but that is the life of being a backup quarterback in this league. So a lot of guys have faced that. A lot of guys have played that role. Really proud of the way he fought. We had a chance there going into the last drive and had a chance to really up until the last couple plays to go ahead and either win the game or tie the game up at the very least there down the stretch. Had a shot there on the second to last play, and obviously the last play didn't go our way, and for a couple of different reasons, but really proud of the way he fought. He stayed resilient. He stayed in the moment. Gave us a chance to win the game at the end of the game, and we'll look forward to coming through on those opportunities down the stretch.
Giving Shedeur
so much about
respect.
Trying to create explosives, and you mentioned that play, the second last play, and the one before that he took a shot. It feels like he has a skill set for throwing the ball deep and likes to throw the ball deep. Is that something you've noticed and something you maybe lean into with him?
Yeah, I think you, again, make him feel comfortable. What are the things that you feel like he excels at? That drive starter, right? He threw a big in cut to Harold that, really got us into position. And in 2 minutes, you're always looking for a chunk at some point to kind of get the drive going and get you in position to have success down the stretch. So, we're going to tailor it to what he's comfortable with, tailor what he's confident in. We have confidence in our guys down the field to make that play. We have confidence in Gage. When the ball was in the air, I truly believe Gage is going to make this play, especially the way that the turn happened and all that. We've seen Gage make those catches in practice a lot of times, and we have confidence in our guys to make those, and we have confidence in Shedeur to make those as well.
When you look back at the blitz looks that the Ravens showed you guys in the second half, just what do you think overall you guys can do to combat that a little bit better? Yeah,
it definitely felt like their plan shifted, right, with the quarterback change and the amount of pressure that they brought. Look, there's a lot of different things we can do schematically without getting into all the details, but certainly changing the launch point, we did a couple times. We max pro'd it a couple times. We got to be technically better in some areas. We have to be in the right checks in some areas. So, that protection, there's a lot of different issues that are caused, and it's our job as coaches to keep defenses off balance with our protection plan, and then, we got to execute in some of those specific looks as well.
Now, you guys heard what Tommy Rees had to say. And it seems like Tommy Rees has total focus on Shedeur Sanders and the plan at hand. And it seems like Tommy Rees wanted Shedeur Sanders all along. And like I told you guys, there was a lot of riff in the locker room between the coaches on who wanted Dillon and who wanted Shedeur. And it seems like Tommy Rees basically just let you guys know that he wanted Shedeur Sanders all along. You see how he said we're going to focus on him, make him comfortable, and this is the focal point. But it's a difference when Kevin Stefanski's at the podium talking about that's not my focus right now. See, Tommy Rees is talking like Shedeur Sanders was his guy. Shedeur said he knows what Shedeur Sanders is capable of doing. You heard some of the things he said when he saw him in the debut about him throwing the ball deep. And he said, the big fire starter was when he threw that in cut to Harold Fannin Jr. So he sees what Shedeur Sanders is capable of doing. So I think this is what Tommy Rees is going to do. He's going to call plays that are comfortable for Shedeur to get the ball down the field, to get this offense off and running against the Las Vegas Raiders this weekend. So it seems like Tommy Rees finally got his guy in Shedeur Sanders, and it's going to be some excitement in the air come Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think that goes to prove that Tommy Rees wanted Shedeur Sanders all along. I see everybody in the comments section, #salute. If you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, turn your post notifications on so you know every time Simply Ball drops another hot banger. Oh yeah, just in case I forgot, tell a friend to tell a friend. It might not be for you, but it might be for them. And this is going to wrap up another episode of the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. I'm your host and the man behind the mic, K-Sap. We're going to catch you on the next one. Deuces.
Thanks for listening to the Simply Ball Dropping Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share on all major platforms.
That's all, folks.